Victor's eyes scanned the area as he walked in. Laughter and chatter filled the air. His eyes stopped on a group of pretty schoolgirls under a tree. A sly smile appeared on his face.
This might not be so bad after all.
He whispered to himself, sounding both playful and confident. In Lagos, Nigeria, Victor was always the center of attention. He was the only son of Mr. Eze, a rich and powerful businessman. Victor's life was full of luxury and comfort. Eze had raised him alone because his wife left him shortly after Victor was born. She said she couldn't take care of a child with a man she had been forced to marry and didn't want to suffer with them. This pushed Mr. Eze to work hard and become wealthy, focusing all his love and resources on his son. From the day Victor was born, he became Mr. Eze's pride and joy, the one thing that brought him happiness after loss and betrayal. Eze's home on the exclusive Ivory Island was like a palace filled with expensive art and imported furniture. Victor grew up in this world of wealth, never needing anything. As Victor grew older, Mr. Eze's love for him became clear to everyone, sometimes in ways that surprised and worried people. When Victor was 6, he walked into the garden during one of his father's business dinners. He saw a fancy crystal vase on the table and tried to pick it up, but it slipped and broke on the floor. The room went silent as everyone waited to see Mr. Eze's reaction. But instead of getting angry, Eze laughed, patted Victor on the head, and said,
It's just a vase. Nothing is more important than my boy.
he even told his butler.
Get another one for him to play with.
After that, situations like this became normal. If Victor broke a rule or made a mistake, Eze would always protect him.
He's just a kid. Boys need freedom to grow.
Over time, this made Victor believe he could do whatever he wanted without facing the consequences, a belief that would later cause problems. When Victor was 10, one of Eze's old friends, Kate, came to visit. Kate was a kind and graceful woman who had been Eze's close friend since university. While they were talking in Eze's fancy living room, Victor came in holding a tablet.
Daddy, I want that new gaming laptop I saw online. Buy it now.
He said, not even looking at Kate. He left as quickly as he came, already focused on his screen again. Kate was surprised. She finally said, Eze, you are spoiling this boy. Eze frowned, looking defensive.
What do you mean, Kate? I just want to show him how much I love him. That's all.
Kate leaned forward and spoke gently but firmly.
Loving a child isn't about giving them everything they want. It's about teaching them good values and preparing them for real life.
Eze shook his head.
Let me tell you, Kate, Victor will never have to worry about life challenges. I've made sure of that.
Kate sighed.
Eze, I have seen this happen before. Kids raised like this struggle when they face challenges. They don't know how to deal with failure or disappointment.
But Eze ignored her advice, just as he ignored everyone who questioned his parenting. By the time Victor turned 20, the effects of Mr. Eze's constant spoiling began to show. One day, Eze came home to find his housemate, Cynthia, crying in the kitchen. Cynthia was a hard-working young woman who had been with the family for a year.
What is wrong, Cynthia?
Eze asked, sounding more annoyed than concerned. Through her tears, Cynthia said,
Sir, your son, he got me pregnant.
For a moment, Eze froze. Then, instead of asking questions, he exploded with anger.
How dare you lie about my son?
Cynthia dropped to her knees, begging.
Please, sir, I am telling the truth. He forced me, and I was afraid I'd lose my job.
But Eze refused to believe her.
You ungrateful girl. That's what girls like you do. You're just trying to trap my son for his money. You're a very big gold digger.
Without hesitation, he ordered his driver to take Cynthia to the family doctor and have the pregnancy ended. Cynthia cried and begged,
Sir, please don't do this. This is wrong.
but Eze didn't listen, thinking he was protecting his son no matter what. Over the next 2 years, things only got worse. Victor became more reckless, stealing money from the house, throwing wild parties while Eze was away, and even getting involved in scams. Every time, Eze covered it up, paying people off and telling himself it was just a phase. Then things reached a breaking point. One evening, Cynthia overheard Victor and his friends joking about bullying a student at school so badly that the child refused to return. They laughed about it, and Victor proudly said his father would always protect him from trouble. The next morning, Cynthia decided to leave. As she packed her things, Eze stopped her.
Where do you even think you are going to?
He asked coldly. Cynthia stood her ground, tears streaming down her face.
I can't stay here anymore. You have allowed your son become a monster. One day, even you won't be able to stop him. But remember this, sir. What you have done will not be forgotten. God will judge you and your son.
Eze's expression turned hard.
If you dare tell anybody about this, I will make sure you and your family will never walk in this town. You stay poor forever. I'm a powerful man now. You know it.
Cynthia looked at him with pity.
I understand, Mr. Eze, but you and your son will face the consequences of your actions one day.
With that, Cynthia left. Meanwhile, Victor kept partying, wasting his father's money and mistreating others without a care. When Victor barely graduated university, thanks to his father's donation, he was posted to Delight Secondary School for his NYC program. The night before leaving, he sat in his living room, packing lazily, when Eze walked in with a warm smile.
Are you ready for tomorrow, my boy?
Eze asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. Victor groaned.
Do I really have to go? Can't you pull some strings and post me to Lagos instead?
Eze sighed, patting his son's hand.
I tried, but it didn't work out. You know it's just for a year now. Just think of it like an adventure.
Some adventure.
Victor muttered, rolling his eyes.
Stuck in the middle of nowhere, teaching some bunch of village kids.
You are my son. You can handle anything.
The next morning, as the driver loaded Victor's many suitcases into the car, Eze fussed over him. They said their goodbyes, neither knowing how much this year would change their life. For the first time, Victor would be far from his father. At first, the thought made him uneasy, but his mood changed to excitement when he arrived at Delight Secondary School. As Victor walked into the school compound, his spirits lifted at the sight of some pretty schoolgirls. A smile spread across his face.
This might not be so bad after all.
He thought, already planning his next move. The school principal, Mrs. Amari, a strict-looking woman in her 40s, welcomed him warmly. "Welcome to Delight Secondary School, Mr. Victor," she said with a polite smile. "I hope your time here will be both fulfilling and productive." Victor smiled back at her, full of charm.
Thank you, ma'am. I am ready to do my best and help where I can.
Mrs. Amari nodded, staying professional. "Good. Let's finish your paperwork and I'll show you your classroom." Once the forms were done, she led Victor through the school's hallway and stopped at the classroom door. "You will be teaching physics to our senior girls. It's an important subject for their exams, so your role is very important." Victor felt curious, though not just about teaching. Physics had been one of the few subjects he liked, and the idea of teaching senior girls caught his interest. As they stepped into the classroom, the noise of the students talking quickly stopped. About 30 girls turned to look at them. Mrs. Amari spoke firmly. Girls, this is Mr. Victor, your new physics teacher. I expect you to respect him and work hard. Victor glanced around the room, noticing some curious looks from the students. He gave a confident smile.
Hello everyone. I am excited to teach you physics this year. Let's work together to make it a great one.
The students sighed in unison, clearly interested. Among them were three girls, Nina, Tessa, and Flora, who were close friends and called themselves the Golden Trio. Victor started his lesson by making jokes and using fun examples, making sure everyone stayed involved.
Who can explain Newton's first law of motion?
He asked. Tessa raised her hand quickly.
An object stays at rest or moves in a straight line unless an external force acts on it.
Very good, miss.
Victor asked, looking at her. Tessa, she said with a smile.
Well done, Tessa. You have set the standard high.
She said, grinning. As the lesson went on, Victor noticed the Golden Trio, glancing at him often. When the class ended, they stayed by his desk.
Mr. Victor,
Nina said,
your class was very interesting. You made physics so much easier to understand.
I am glad to hear that.
Victor replied smoothly.
Physics is just about seeing how things connect with everyday life.
Flora spoke up.
We were wondering if you could tutor us after class. We really want to do well in our exams.
Victor thought for a moment.
Sure, let's discuss it after school tomorrow.
The girls smiled at each other excitedly before leaving. In the following weeks, Victor became the most popular teacher at the school. His confidence and charm made him stand out, and his looks were often a topic of conversation. But it was Nina, Tessa, and Flora, the Golden Trio, who caught most of his attention. The admiration for him grew, and Victor started giving them special attention, often praising them more than others, giving them high grades for little effort. One day, after class, Victor asked Tessa to stay behind. Nervous but curious, she approached his desk, her heart racing.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Victor?
She asked, her voice shaking slightly. Victor smiled, his gaze steady.
Yes, Tessa, I wanted to talk to you about your recent test. You have improved a lot.
Tessa's face lit up.
Thank you, sir. I have been working extra hard.
I can tell.
He said, standing and moving closer.
You are one of the smartest students I have ever taught. You could have a bright future in physics.
Tessa blushed, avoiding his eyes.
Do you really think so?
Victor gently touched her chin, lifting her face to meet his gaze.
I know so, but when it is just us, you can call me Victor.
Tessa's breath caught.
Okay, Victor.
Before the moment could go further, the door opened and Mrs. Amari walked in. Her eyes moved between them suspiciously. Am I interrupting something? She asked sharply. Victor stepped back smoothly.
Not at all, Mrs. Amari. I was just praising Tessa for her progress. She is trying.
The principal raised an eyebrow. Good to hear. Your teaching methods seem to be working. The students are improving in physics. Victor smiled.
Thank you, ma'am. I always try to make the subject interesting.
As Mrs. Amari left, Victor's smirk returned. If only she knew what was really going on. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Nina, Tessa, and Flora were whispering.
Did you see how Victor looked at me today?
Flora said excitedly.
He couldn't stop staring.
Nina laughed. Please, he was definitely more interested in me. Didn't you notice how many times he used my name? Tessa stayed quiet, smiling secretly as she remembered her private moments with Victor. Over time, Victor's behavior became worse. He started giving the trio private tutoring sessions, using the time to flirt and get closer to them while their parents remained unaware. One day, during Mrs. Carroll's biology class, Flora suddenly stood up, looking pale.
Miss Carol, I don't feel well. Can I go out?
She asked weakly. Before the teacher could respond, Flora ran out, with Nina and Tessa following her. Later, Miss Carroll found them in the bathroom, all feeling sick. Concerned, she took them to the school clinic. At the clinic, Dr. Margaret examined them carefully. After some tests, her expression became serious. Girls, she said softly, I need you to be honest. Is there any chance one of you could be pregnant? The room went silent. The truth was clear. After confirming the result, Dr. Margaret called their parents and informed the principal, Mrs. Amari. When the girls were asked who was responsible, they all named Victor. The news spread quickly. Victor was arrested and his father, Mr. Eze, was informed. Eze arrived that same day, furious.
What is all this about?
He demanded at the police station. Mrs. Amari replied, Your son is accused of inappropriate behavior with students. The girls are pregnant and they said he is the father. For once, Mr. Eze seemed shocked.
This must be a mistake. My son would never.
Never what, Mr. Amari interrupted. The evidence is clear. Your influence won't save him this time. Before Eze could respond, Tessa's uncle, General Namdi, arrived. His commanding presence silenced the room. Mr. Eze, he said coldly, your son's actions won't be covered up. He'll face the consequences of what he's done. Eze paled but didn't argue. For the first time, he realized his power wouldn't protect his son. The consequences had finally caught up with them both.